The galaxy watched with silent tension as the Galactic Council gathered inside its great crystalline chamber. The walls glowed with gentle blue light, reflecting the many colors and shapes of the delegates. They came from hundreds of worlds, each one holding a vote that carried the weight of stars. On this day, they spoke about one species that troubled them more than any other. That species was humanity. For many years, the Council believed humans were unpredictable, fast learners, and too bold for their own good. Humans made scientific breakthroughs at speeds other races could not understand. They explored dangerous regions, made alliances no one expected, and questioned every rule ever written by the Council. Some saw this behavior as strength. Others saw it as a threat. The chamber grew louder as the debate continued. Voices echoed from the tall ceilings. Some members argued that humanity had done nothing wrong. Others warned that humans could someday challenge the Council's control of the galaxy. The fear grew until it filled the entire room. At the center of the chamber stood the High Speaker, an elderly being with silver skin that shimmered whenever she moved. Her voice sounded like calm wind, yet everyone listened to her words. After hours of debate, she raised her hand, calling for silence. Every delegate stopped speaking. The High Speaker announced that the Council would vote on the new proposal. It was a severe decision, one that would change the future of an entire species. The proposal said that humanity would be exiled from Council-controlled space. They would be sent far away, beyond explored regions, and left to survive on their own. When the votes appeared as floating lights above the chamber, the answer became clear. A heavy majority supported exile. Humanity would be cast out. On Earth and in human colonies, the news spread like wildfire. People paused in the middle of their work. Families gathered around screens. Leaders held emergency meetings. Confusion and fear filled every home. No one expected such a harsh judgment for a species that only wanted to grow and learn. The Council's ships arrived without delay. Their enormous engines glowed with a cold purple light, and their sleek bodies moved with perfect precision. They did not attack. They simply surrounded Earth and the major colonies, ordering all humans to prepare for relocation. The Council promised the exile would be peaceful, but the fear still echoed in every human heart. At that moment, one man stepped forward to help bring order to the chaos. His name was Ethan Ward, commander of a human fleet that often worked on deep space missions. He was calm, steady, and respected by soldiers and civilians alike. His voice carried strength without anger. When he spoke through the communication channels, people listened. Ethan encouraged everyone to remain united and strong. He knew the situation was unfair, but he also knew panic would only make things worse. He worked day and night to help organize the evacuation. Families boarded ships, students packed what they could, and engineers shut down stations they had built with decades of hard work. The Council opened a massive wormhole in space, a swirling storm of blue and white energy. They ordered all human fleets to pass through it. No one knew what existed on the other side. The Council refused to share any details. As the final ships approached the wormhole, Earth grew smaller behind them. The planet that had given birth to their entire history became a distant ball of blue and green. Many wept quietly. Others stared in silence. Ethan stood on the bridge of his ship, feeling a heavy weight press against his chest. He looked at Earth one last time and whispered a quiet promise. Humanity would not break. The human fleets entered the wormhole, and for a moment everything became a blur of spinning light. Then, the journey ended. The fleets emerged near a dim, dying star in a region no one had ever charted. Space here felt cold and empty, as if the universe itself had forgotten this place. The star glowed with a weak red pulse, and broken asteroids drifted around it like silent ghosts. There were no planets suitable for life, no trade routes, no safe stations. Nothing but darkness and silence. Many people began to fear that the Council had not only exiled them but sentenced them to slow extinction. Ethan refused to accept defeat. He ordered every ship to form a tight group so they could share resources. He encouraged engineers to begin scanning nearby space for anything useful. He reminded everyone that humans had faced harsh challenges before, and they had always survived. His calm leadership became a light in the darkness. Among the scientists on board the fleet was Dr. Natalie Brooks. She was curious, patient, and always searching for answers others did not see. When she looked out into the cold region of space, she noticed something unusual. Strange energy readings were appearing on her screen. They pulsed in odd rhythms and did not match any known cosmic patterns. Natalie sent the data to Ethan, who trusted her instincts. He ordered a small exploration team to investigate the signal. They followed it for several hours until they reached a shattered moon orbiting the dying star. The moon looked dead from the outside. Its surface was cracked and covered in dust, but the strange readings came from somewhere beneath its surface. A landing team touched down on the moon, their boots sinking slightly into the dry surface. They walked carefully across the gray ground until they reached a massive fissure that cut deep into the moon's crust. A soft blue glow leaked from the crack. They descended into the fissure, following the light until they discovered a huge metallic door buried under layers of rock. The door was ancient, yet untouched by time. Strange symbols ran along its surface. Natalie studied them, feeling excitement growing inside her. With the help of engineers, they activated a hidden mechanism. The door slowly slid open, releasing a faint breath of warm air from within. Inside the entrance stood a vast chamber built by a civilization far older than any known species. Walls of crystal metal reflected soft blue and silver light. Machines of unknown purpose rested in perfect condition. In the center of the chamber lay a massive structure that looked like a broken star forge. It glowed with slow pulses of energy that matched the strange readings Natalie had detected earlier. Natalie walked closer, unable to believe what she was seeing. The machines inside the moon were unlike anything in the Council's archives. They used energy patterns that humans had never mastered. This was technology born from a civilization with knowledge far beyond the Council's level. The landing team explored deeper into the ancient structure. They found reactors powered by gravity itself, engines that could manipulate matter, and storage devices that held blueprints of advanced engineering. Everything pointed to a forgotten empire that once understood the universe in ways modern species could not imagine. When the team returned to the fleet, Ethan listened to their reports with growing astonishment. He realized what this discovery meant. The Council had exiled humanity hoping they would fade away, but instead, humans had found knowledge so powerful it could reshape their entire future. Ethan called a meeting across the fleet. His voice carried hope, but also warning. He explained what the team had found and reminded everyone that they must handle this technology with care. Unearned power could become dangerous if used without wisdom. The people listened with shining eyes. They felt a spark that had been missing since their exile. For the first time since leaving Earth, they felt possibility. They felt purpose. Under Ethan's guidance, teams began studying the ancient machines inside the shattered moon. Natalie worked day and night to understand the energy pulses. Engineers built small prototypes using the new discoveries. Slowly, humanity began to rebuild. Space around the dying star changed as human ships grew stronger and more efficient. They repaired hulls using advanced alloys. They created new energy sources from the moon's technology. They built shelters inside hollowed asteroids and turned barren rocks into safe habitats. They named their new group the Horizon Assembly, a symbol of their wish to look forward, not backward. The Council had exiled them expecting weakness. Instead, the exile became the beginning of something greater. Humans were no longer confined by the rules of the Council or the limits of old technology. They were explorers, standing on the edge of a new frontier. Ethan watched the progress with pride. He saw families rebuilding their lives, children playing in asteroid habitats, scientists sharing discoveries, and pilots testing new engines that could bend space in gentle curves. Humanity had suffered, but they had not broken. Natalie felt the same hope. She often stood near the ancient star forge inside the moon, watching the energy pulse like a heartbeat. She believed the old civilization had not meant for their knowledge to be lost. Perhaps they had hoped someone would find it someday and carry their legacy forward. As months turned into years, humanity transformed further. Their ships became faster. Their energy became cleaner. Their settlements grew into wide networks of light across the dark region. They felt stronger than ever before, but deep inside their hearts, they still remembered Earth. They remembered the home they lost and the council that pushed them away. They remembered the pain of exile. Yet they didn't let anger rule them. Instead, they built something new, something powerful, something united. The exile was not the end. It was the beginning of an empire that would one day stretch across eternity. The years passed slowly in the dark region of space, but humanity did not waste a single moment. The Horizon Assembly grew from a scattered group of survivors into a strong community filled with engineers, scientists, families, and leaders who refused to give up. Even though they lived far from their old home, they learned to depend on one another. They shared food, shared energy, shared ideas, and shared hope. Commander Ethan Ward watched everything unfold with deep pride. When they first arrived, many people were scared and lost. Now he saw children laughing in asteroid schools, workers building new ships, and families planting small gardens inside artificial domes. Humanity had begun to shine again. Dr. Natalie Brooks continued her research every day. The ancient machines inside the shattered moon felt like puzzles waiting to be solved. She believed the old empire that built them once had great wisdom, and she wanted to understand that wisdom. She often walked through the moon's long halls, studying symbols carved into the metallic walls. The deeper she explored, the more she realized how incomplete human knowledge was. The first major breakthrough came when Natalie and her team discovered the true source of the energy pulses. The blue glow inside the moon came from a substance that did not exist anywhere in Council records. It was a type of matter that acted like both energy and solid form. Natalie called it ether light because it seemed to carry light and weight at the same time. Ether light changed everything. Engineers began experimenting with small pieces of the substance, building new tools and testing new engines. They discovered that ether light reacted to tiny changes in gravitational fields. It could bend around objects, strengthen engines without fuel, and even protect ships from damage. Soon, the first ether light reactor was built on a large asteroid base. The reactor glowed with soft blue waves and gave off endless energy. It never overheated, never needed fuel, and never slowed down. It became the heart of the Horizon Assembly, powering every settlement and every new machine. With the help of this reactor, humanity built new habitats inside hollowed asteroids. They made artificial gravity fields strong enough to walk normally. They used the ancient technology to clean air, grow food, and create clean water from ice. Life became easier and more stable. Over time, the Horizon Assembly grew into a nation of strong and hopeful people. They did not call themselves refugees anymore. They called themselves explorers of the frontier. Ethan often stood on the bridge of his main ship, watching new construction ships move through space like bright fireflies. He knew that humanity was growing stronger every day. But he also reminded his people to stay humble. Power was a gift, not a weapon. He encouraged everyone to use it wisely. As the Horizon Assembly expanded, they began to explore regions farther from the dying star. They found abandoned stations from unknown civilizations, strange particles drifting in the void, and planets with unusual patterns of weather. Not all discoveries were useful, but every one of them taught humans more about the universe. It was during one of these explorations that they found something truly important. A small survey ship detected a cluster of faint life signals on a frozen planet near the edge of the frontier. When a landing team reached the surface, they found a group of small settlements built by a weak, struggling species. These people had once been part of a small empire that collapsed long ago. Now they lived in poverty, surviving on limited resources and weak technology. When the humans arrived, the frightened inhabitants expected them to take control or demand tribute. But instead, Ethan sent doctors, engineers, and teachers to help them rebuild. Humanity shared food, medicine, and simple tools. They repaired broken generators and built new shelters that kept the cold away. The inhabitants were shocked by the kindness. They had never seen a powerful outsider offer help without asking for anything in return. Within a short time, Many of them asked to join the Horizon Assembly. They offered friendship and knowledge from their past empire, and humans accepted it gladly. Word began to spread. Across the frontier, more small civilizations learned of the humans who brought aid instead of conquest. When they saw the blue glow of ether-light ships drifting across the sky, they felt hope instead of fear. They welcomed the humans and shared their own forgotten histories. Humanity grew stronger not because they conquered others, but because they made allies. They built trust. They listened. They learned. It was during this period of growth that a new leader began to rise within the assembly. His name was Lucas Rivera, a talented pilot who had served under Ethan since the early days of exile. Lucas was brave, calm, and skilled in battle, yet he always preferred peace over conflict. When the first Etherlight-powered Starfleet was ready, Ethan chose Lucas to become its admiral. The Etherlight ships were unlike any ships ever seen in Council space. They had smooth, silver surfaces that reflected starlight like mirrors. Their engines glowed with blue waves that pulsed like heartbeats. They made no sound as they moved, gliding smoothly through space. Instead of traditional engines, they were guided by gravitational curves and quantum signals. The first time the Etherlight fleet launched, thousands of people watched from habitats and stations. Lucas stood on the bridge of his flagship, feeling both fear and excitement. When the ships moved forward in perfect formation, they left behind trails of shimmering blue light. Children gasped. Engineers cheered. Ethan folded his arms and smiled quietly. Humanity had built something that even the Council never imagined. As the Etherlight fleet explored new regions, they discovered more forgotten ruins from old civilizations that had vanished thousands of years ago. Some ruins held advanced technology. Others held simple art. Everything added to humanity's understanding of the universe. With each discovery, the Horizon Assembly grew more confident. They built a vast network of travel routes across the dark frontier. They created new trade paths, scientific teams, and research outposts. They offered protection to small civilizations against dangers such as rogue pirates or unstable stars. Their influence reached farther and farther until they formed a new empire known as the Eternal Reach. It was an empire built not on conquest, but on unity and compassion. People from many species joined willingly, hoping for a better life under human guidance. Back in Council space, rumors began to spread. Traders whispered about mysterious ships that moved without engines. Some spoke of planets saved from destruction by blue energy fields. Others claimed that a growing empire lived in the far frontier, one that offered help instead of war. At first, the Council ignored these stories. They believed humans were too weak to achieve anything. But as the rumors grew louder and more consistent, the Council started to worry. They sent scouts and spies to gather information, but none returned with clear answers. Some ships never returned at all. A deep fear spread among the Council members. They wondered if humanity had grown into something powerful enough to threaten them. They began to regret their decision to exile humans. They wondered if they had created a danger without meaning to. When the Council heard that the mysterious empire was ruled by humans and powered by technology no one could understand, they called for an emergency meeting. Delegates filled the crystalline chamber just as they had years ago during the vote to exile humanity. The mood was different now. Instead of confidence, there was fear. They discussed sending a large fleet to investigate. They debated whether to prepare for war. Others suggested trying diplomacy, but many feared that humans would not listen. They believed humans wanted revenge. In the dark frontier, humanity did not know about the Council's panic. They continued to expand peacefully. But one event changed everything. A Council investigative fleet entered the frontier without warning. They approached the borders of the Eternal Reach, ignoring signals from human outposts. When they crossed the boundary, they were met by an ether-light barrier that shimmered like a wall of blue waves. The barrier was not meant for war. It was meant to protect the Eternal Reach from cosmic storms and dangerous radiation. But when the Council ships tried to force their way through, the barrier reacted defensively. The ships shook violently and lost control. Many systems failed. The Council fleet sent distress signals before disappearing into the void. When news of the incident reached the Council, fear turned into panic. They believed the humans had attacked their fleet. Some members demanded immediate military action. Others warned that a war against an empire with unknown power could destroy them. In the Eternal Reach, Ethan and Natalie examined the strange event with concern. They did not want conflict with the Council. They wanted peace. They wanted the Council to understand that humanity had grown stronger but not cruel. They wanted a chance to show that exile had shaped them into better leaders, not angry enemies. Natalie believed the time had come to contact the Council. Ethan agreed. If they did not speak soon, misunderstandings could lead to a terrible war. The Horizon Assembly began to prepare a diplomatic mission to return to the galaxy that once rejected them. They hoped to show the Council the truth, not through threats, but through calm and honest communication. As they worked, the frontier around them glowed softly with ether-light ships, life stations, and peaceful colonies. These lights marked the rise of a new empire, one built by exiles who refused to stop believing in unity. The humans had grown far beyond what the Council imagined. Their strength now stretched across the frontier like a river of stars. Yet inside their hearts, they still held compassion. Their return to the known galaxy was coming soon, and nothing would ever be the same again. The stars inside the frontier shone softly, as if they knew something important was about to happen. Humanity had grown stronger than anyone expected. Cities floated inside giant asteroids, ships glowed with blue ether light, and many species lived safely under the protection of the Eternal Reach. But far away, beyond the border of the frontier, the Galactic Council struggled with fear. Their fleet had vanished near the ether-light barrier, and they blamed humans without knowing the truth. Commander Ethan Ward knew this fear could lead to disaster. He had seen many species misunderstand each other before, and he understood how quickly a mistake could turn into war. He gathered the leaders of the Horizon Assembly, including Dr. Natalie Brooks and Admiral Lucas Rivera, and they discussed what must be done. Ethan believed the time had come for humanity to return to the known galaxy. He spoke calmly, explaining that if they stayed silent, the Council might take dangerous actions. It was better to talk openly, face to face, than hide behind distance and hope for peace. Everyone agreed. A diplomatic mission would be sent. It would not be a large fleet. It would not carry weapons ready for battle. It would only carry one message. Humanity had no wish for war. Many people in the Eternal Reach volunteered for the mission. But Ethan chose a person with a strong heart and clear mind. Her name was Claire Morgan, a young ambassador known for her empathy and calm voice. She had helped create peace between different frontier species, and she had a talent for turning anger into understanding. Claire felt nervous when Ethan asked her to lead the mission, but she accepted. She wanted the Council to see that humans had changed. She wanted them to understand that the exile had shaped a better, wiser nation. The mission prepared to leave the Eternal Reach on a quiet morning. Families gathered around viewing platforms to watch Claire's fleet launch. It was small, only a handful of etherlight ships, but their smooth silver surfaces and blue engines made them look like gentle stars drifting forward. Admiral Lucas Rivera approached Claire before she boarded her ship. He told her that she was not just carrying a message. She was carrying the future of the galaxy. Claire nodded, knowing the weight on her shoulders. But she also trusted the kindness of the Eternal Reach. She believed that truth would shine brighter than fear. As the Etherlight fleet left the frontier, Ethan stood on the bridge of an observation station and watched the blue trails disappear into dark space. He felt both hope and worry. He knew the Council might react with fear, but he also believed humanity had become wise enough to face such challenges without anger. Claire's fleet moved smoothly through the stars. The ships followed gravitational paths shaped by etherlight engines, allowing them to travel faster than any Council vessel. The journey took only a few days, but Claire spent much of that time practicing her speech and thinking about how to explain the truth. When the fleet reached the border of Council space, they slowed down. Claire sent a peaceful message. announcing herself and requesting permission to enter. She explained that she came only for diplomacy and understanding. The council was shocked. They had expected a massive army, not a small group of calm ships led by a young ambassador. Some council members wanted to refuse entry. Others believed they should hear Claire's message. After a long debate, they allowed the fleet to approach, but ordered defensive ships to stand ready. Claire's fleet entered council space at slow speed. Out of respect, they did not activate shields. They did not prepare weapons. They showed complete trust. Council observers watched with wide eyes. The human ships glowed softly, unlike anything they had ever seen. Claire stepped onto the bridge of her ship and prepared to speak to the council. Her voice was steady. She explained that the Eternal Reach had not harmed the council fleet. The barrier had reacted automatically, trying to protect itself from unexpected force. She offered to show sensors, recordings, and detailed information to prove this. The council members began to whisper among themselves. Some were relieved. Others still feared the power of Aetherlight. But no one could deny the calm honesty in Claire's words. The council invited Claire to land in their main space station. Claire agreed. Her ship descended into the docking bay, followed by the rest of her small fleet. She stepped out onto the platform, where hundreds of council guards and delegates waited. Some looked frightened, some looked curious, a few looked hopeful. Claire bowed politely and smiled. She did not show fear, even though she felt her heart beating fast. She walked with gentle steps, as if she knew every movement mattered. The council led her into the grand chamber, the same place where they once voted to exile humanity. Claire noticed the glowing walls and tall ceilings, shimmering with golden light. She wondered if the council remembered the pain they caused. The High Speaker, the silver-skinned being who once announced humanity's exile, stood at the center. Her voice still sounded like calm wind. She welcomed Claire and thanked her for coming in peace. Claire began to speak. She told the council about the exile, the struggle to survive, and the discovery of ancient technology inside the shattered moon. She explained how Aetherlight reactors helped humans build new homes and stronger ships. She told them about the small civilizations they helped, the alliances they formed, and the peaceful empire they created. The council chamber grew silent. Many delegates listened with deep interest. Claire's words painted a picture of a nation that grew stronger, not through force but through kindness. She ended her speech by saying that humanity did not wish for war or revenge. They wanted understanding, cooperation, and a peaceful future for all. For a moment, the chamber stayed quiet. Then the debates began. Some delegates said humanity had become too powerful. Others said humans had proven their wisdom. Some feared the unknown. Others believed humanity should be welcomed back. The arguments grew louder, but Claire did not interrupt. She waited calmly. Knowing change took time. Everything changed when a rogue council admiral entered the chamber. His face showed anger and fear. He shouted that humans could not be trusted. Without warning, he activated a small device that sent a pulse to one of the defensive ships outside. The ship fired a blast toward Claire's escort fleet. Everyone gasped. But the Aetherlight shields absorbed the blast like sunlight touching water. The ships remained unharmed. No counterattack came. No weapons were activated. Claire's fleet simply stayed still. The admiral was shocked. He expected retaliation. Instead, Claire stepped forward and spoke in a gentle tone. She said she understood the fear behind the attack. She said the Eternal Reach did not answer fear with anger. She said humanity had already learned that peace was stronger than force. Her calmness filled the chamber. The council realized something important at that moment. The humans who stood before them were not the same people they exiled. They had grown into leaders who understood the burden of power. They had become strong enough to defeat the council if they wished, yet wise enough to choose peace. The High Speaker stood again. Her silver skin shimmered softly. She announced that the council accepted Claire's message. She admitted their exile had been a mistake. She declared that humanity was no longer an outcast but a respected member of the galaxy. Claire felt warm relief spread through her chest. She bowed deeply, thanking the council for listening. Across the galaxy, the news spread quickly. Many species celebrated the return of humanity. Some felt hope for the first time in years. Others asked to join the Eternal Reach or form new alliances. When Claire returned to the frontier, she was welcomed as a hero. Ethan, Natalie, and Lucas met her at the docking bay. They smiled as they saw her walk down the ramp, calm and proud. Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder and thanked her for guiding the galaxy toward peace. Natalie told Claire that her speech had opened a door, once thought forever closed. Lucas said she had given the galaxy a chance for unity. Claire smiled, knowing she had only spoken the truth. The Eternal Reach continued to grow. The Council and humanity began to work together, sharing knowledge and protecting smaller civilizations. With etherlight technology and wise leadership, the galaxy entered a new era of cooperation. Humanity did not return as victims. They returned as leaders whose strength came not from anger, but from compassion. Their empire stretched across the frontier like a river of stars, gentle yet powerful. And through their choices, they proved that even exile could become the beginning of something eternal. Their story became a reminder that the light of hope can grow strongest in the darkest places. If you want, I can combine all 3 parts into one long, complete story, or create a new HFY story with a different title.